What is leader decision making? Well, in behavioral research, this area of focus is on the leader's decision-making process and how the decision-making style that the leader employs results in some level of effect on subordinates and ultimately has some level of effect on the effectiveness and efficiency of the operational process. So leader decision-making is an important part of behavioral research into understanding leadership. Now, one of the core principles of understanding the decision-making process of leaders is empowerment. That is the extent to which the leader is willing to delegate decision-making authority to the subordinates rather than simply retaining 100% of decision-making authority themselves. We call this participative management when managers involve subordinates in the process, thus delegating some level of responsibility or authority in the decision-making process. Now, this is generally shown to have a highly positive effect. It generally aligns the personal goals of the individual with those of the organization and thus creates a higher level of performance and also creates some level of buy-in or attachment to the performance standards that remain in place afterwards. Now, what are the various styles of leadership that have some degree of participation in it? Well, at the extreme ends would be autocratic, and this is making the decision on your own. At the other extreme would be laissez-faire or completely delegated decision-making authority. That is, you have hands-off completely as the leader or as the manager in this situation, and your subordinates 100% make the decision. Now, in between these, you have various degrees of participation. Collective decision-making is generally where you collaborate collectively to come up with an idea and thus make the decision. So there's a lot of involvement there. There's a lot of buy-in and responsibility for the results. This is a very team-focused approach. A democratic approach still keeps an individual decision-maker, but it involves others, their collective opinions, their input into the decision-making process before the leader makes the decision. Autocratic participative is generally where you still have, once again, a single decision maker, but the decision maker collects information. There's less collaboration, there's less input, it's simply an information finding function so that the leader can make the best decision possible. Consensus is a majority vote. This is once again a very team-based focus where the majority opinion is generally what rules the course of action. So all of these are common or acceptable approaches to leader decision making that vary in some degree of subordinate empowerment in the process. But in summary, leadership decision making style and the approach is highly important for understanding how leadership decision making affects ultimately subordinate behavior and the efficiency and effectiveness of the organization.